Good Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek.
New this afternoon, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, several other Minneapolis leaders, and St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter are speaking out after a New York Times report about ramped up ICE enforcement in the Twin Cities, targeting Somali immigrants. This comes after the Trump administration recently said that refugees from Somalia were, quote, completely taking over Minnesota. City leadership telling the Minneapolis Somali community the city stands by them.
We are not given advance notice or inside information about these kinds of operations. But here's what we can promise. We will not compromise our values here in Minneapolis. Our values and our commitment to the Somali community, to every community of immigrants and people in our city, is rock solid and will be unwavering.
I know many families are fearful tonight. They are. But I want you to know that City of Minneapolis stand behind you. As the leaders, both mayors and the chief and everyone that stand behind you are here to stand with you. Our community has lived through fear in the past. And we are not going to let us divide that.
As Minneapolis leadership was speaking out about the reported ICE operations, President Trump was also speaking out about Somali people in Minnesota. Take a listen.
I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country.
Right now, the Treasury Department says it's looking into reports that money taken from Minnesota taxpayers was used to fund terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Both former U.S. Attorney Andy Lugar and the lead prosecutor in the massive Feeding Our Future fraud case both said greed was the motivating factor in the millions of dollars of fraud. And court documents show the vast majority of the millions sent overseas by Feeding Our Future defendants was to Kenya, not Somalia, and therefore not accessible by the Somalia-based terror group.
Today, North Minneapolis business owners are taking lawmakers on a critical show and tell, followed by a listening session. They say they want lawmakers to see what the new Blue Line extension could do to the area that's already facing its share of struggles. The extended Blue Line would involve 13 stops from downtown Minneapolis up to Brooklyn Park. Construction on the West Broadway portion would begin in 2027. The project will use existing city streets rather than the BNSF Railroad right-of-way as previously planned. And for years, some businesses will be disrupted or may have to close due to construction, leaving business owners in fear that level of construction will drive patrons away.
Especially in a neighborhood that's already in poverty and that you don't really want to be there in the first place. Who wants to come over north and now you're going to tear up all the roads?
The project is expected to cost $3 billion. Lawmakers say with a price tag that size, they want to make sure they get it right.
I think a top priority for us in the Transportation Committee is to make sure that the dollars that we have in our trust are used most effectively to get people to where they want to go in the modes that they want to go, and that we do that in a responsible manner.
A project spokesperson says they've worked diligently to hear from a wide range of voices, hosting nearly 950 public events in the affected communities since 2020. Right now, St. Paul police are still looking for suspects after 4 men were shot in the Dayton's Bluff neighborhood. The men were shot yesterday afternoon around 4:30 at 4th and Earl Streets. Police say they found 2 of the victims at that intersection and 2 others behind a home about a block away. All 4 are expected to survive. Police say they don't believe there's any threat to the public. The man who once led Minneapolis's Chamber of Commerce is now admitting he stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from that very organization. Yesterday, Jonathan Weinhagen pleaded guilty to embezzling money meant to support local businesses and even Crime Stoppers rewards, and using it to fund a lavish lifestyle. Raya Kitene was in the courtroom and has the new details.
Walking alongside his attorney,
Good afternoon.
Do you have anything to say to the victims or the families?
Jonathan Weinhagen said nothing as he left court Monday after admitting he embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars during his time as CEO of the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce. That includes $30,000 in reward money meant for helping solve the cases of 3 children shot in Minneapolis, including the unsolved murder of KG Wilson's 6-year-old granddaughter.
I feel like that's one of the lowest things that you can do.
More than 4 years later, no one has been arrested for Anaya Allen's death.
For you to take this type of money, any of it, but especially this money that was for innocent children who were murdered.
Weinhagen also admits he stole more than $213,000 from the chamber, even creating an alias and fake company to funnel money to his personal accounts. The 42-year-old also lied on loan applications and used the chamber's credit card to buy first-class flight tickets and oceanfront hotel rooms. Prosecutors also say he stole $60,000 from 2 local businesses, which he'd solicited for supporting all of Minneapolis, a political group endorsing Mayor Jacob Frey. Weinhagen will likely be sentenced to a little more than 2 years in prison, but Wilson says the harm he caused will stay with his family forever.
What if this was your child or your grandchild and you were hurting and torn to shreds? This had changed your life. Would you want somebody to do this to you or your family?
In a statement, the Chamber's current CEO wrote that he commends the work of the DOJ to hold Weinhagen accountable, adding in part, quote, his actions were a profound breach of trust and caused significant harm to the organization from which we are still recovering. Today, President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and son-in-law Jared Kushner are meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin to discuss a U.S. peace plan on Ukraine. NBC's Keir Simmons has the latest from Moscow.
Hey there, good day to you. Well, the U.S. delegation is here in Moscow. The convoy was seen driving past the Kremlin, the Russians confirming that President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, will join his envoy, Steve Witkoff, in these talks with President Putin. For Witkoff, it's the 6th time he's been here to Moscow to meet with President Putin this year. For Jared Kushner, it is a first, and they come after days of talks with the Ukrainians and with the Europeans. What began as a peace plan that looked very much in favor of Moscow has been renegotiated and is very different. So a Russian official with knowledge of the talks tells me that the Kremlin has 3 pillars to its position. One, that the Kremlin wants more territory, all of the Donbass region in Ukraine, that it wants international recognition of that territory as Russian, and that it wants limits on the Ukrainian military. Every one of those demands has been rejected by Ukraine and many European countries. Speaking to Russians here in Moscow, many say they do want peace, but not at any price. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Moscow.
Well, now to the story of a fascinating animal discovery in the heart of the metro. A rare freshwater jellyfish was found floating in a lake. 2 scientists made the discovery in October on Taft Lake in Richfield. That's just south of Highway 62 and right next to MSP. Gordon Severson spoke with the people who found them and from experts about how the animals may have ended up there.
Here at Taft Lake in Richfield, there's a sign right by the lake that tells people what kinds of fish they might see in the water nearby. It doesn't say anything about jellyfish, but 2 Minnesotans earlier this fall found some in the middle of the lake.
I was very excited to find this specimen.
During a routine water quality inspection for the city of Richfield, Kate Lucas noticed something strange in the water.
It was just this little translucent blob.
She knew right away it was a jellyfish, about the size of a quarter. In her excitement, she yelled to her coworker, Kevin Menken.
I was like, I need to get a photo or video or a specimen.
The DNR later confirmed it was a rare freshwater jellyfish.
I think there's maybe about a dozen records from Minnesota.
Don Eaton with the DNR says this is one of them. He says the jellyfish are native to China and likely came to North America attached to aquatic plants. As tiny polyps, Eaton says the jellyfish can live underwater for several years, but in their Medusa stage, they only live for about a week or 2, which is why they're rarely seen.
Should we be concerned about these jellyfish?
In general, no, although We don't know a whole lot about them.
Eaton says these jellyfish do have stingers, but they are so small that humans and animals can't feel them. And research suggests the jellyfish aren't harmful to native plants and fish.
The jellyfish don't have much of an impact on the lake itself.
Besides telling the DNR, Lucas and Mencken have shared their discovery with several family members and friends.
They were definitely shocked, didn't know that freshwater jellyfish were a thing, especially not in Minnesota.
A unique fish story few Minnesotans can tell.
Yeah, it was a fascinating find.
According to the National Park Service, these freshwater jellyfish have been in North America for quite a while. The earliest sightings date back to the early 1900s, but they are rarely seen here in Minnesota. Gordon Severson, KARE 11 News.
It's a big day here at KARE 11, something we look forward to all year long. It's the kickoff of our Toys for Tots drive with the Marines, a way to help make a kid happy this holiday season. And we need your help more than ever. We're asking for new and unopened toys that you can drop off at more than 700 drop boxes out there from Afton to Wyoming, Minnesota. And that includes our KARE 11 studios here in Golden Valley at the corner of Highway 55 and General Mills Boulevard. The Marines are here today to take your donations, and they're going to be here every day through the 18th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We got a look inside the Marines warehouse. You can see they've already collected several thousand toy donations, and now they're just waiting to be sorted. Monetary donations, they've also helped them buy 20,000 additional toys, and those numbers will continue to go up. These gifts will meet a surge in demand that's expected this season. You can tell that in part by the 20 nonprofits that have signed up to receive these toys for the very first time. And good news for our local organizations. There is still another week before applications close.
I think that means just more people are trying to get toys for their kids. So we want to make sure that every single kid has a chance to pick out their toys, or their family, their parents are able to pick out toys for their children.
To find out more, go to our website, kare11.com/toys4tots. It has a link to drop-off sites all throughout the metro, and it also lets you make monetary donations. Stick with us. There's more news and weather coming up after the break.